Okay, we're just going to finish the Sicha quickly a bit, pick up pace. The Sicha of Pinchas, Shabbos Mevorchim Menachem Av. Here the Rebbe goes into a very interesting topic. The Rebbe says like this, as follows. Deverly, we spoke previously, Shebet Kuva Achroina, meaning the seems like this was in the years last 1949 or so. Nothing for this Mevorchim Admir Hayrav Vehiver Kamin Yonim in Gael and Hogabisman Shalachrizet. The Rebbe says that the Friedrich Rebbe spoke at the end about certain things that are going to happen in the future. So prophesized a bit of what's going to happen in the future. The sichos the Yud Gimel Tamas the Eshtaqed. So the Rebbe says in the talk of Yud year before, Yud Gimel Tamas the year before, meaning 1949. Amar Kvagdish Mevorchim Adam, my father-in-law said, the previous Rebbe, Jeder chassid darf sagen, alle Tage Kapitel Tehillim, beyichud, as der sichos von der Rebbeim so bei sei nimshach werden, and soll bei sei niklat werden. The Rebbe Friedrich Rebbe spoke in the last birthday of his life, 1949, that everyone should say the Kapitel of the Rebbe. So the merit of saying the Kapitel, the Rebbe's Kapitel, so the Rebbe says, Zol bei zei nimshach werden, it should be able to bring down. Und es soll bei zei niklat werden. It should be able, first you should be able to bring down the flow of blessing, and to hope to niklat, and when you can bring it down, then you can't grasp it. Niklat means to grasp it, to contain it, to absorb it. The gili or in apnimis, in an eternal way. Kol chassid sarach leimer b'chol yom kapitel Tehillim. Everyone has to say the Kapitel Tehillim. Yichud specifically shetum shechus harabeim, that they should be able to bring down the merit of the Rebbe's v'yuklat, and they should absorb it, or gili, or the revelation of the light b'pnimis internally. B'chura, the Rebbe says seemingly, hashpal shel harabeim kaimis kvar mizman shel Baal Shem Tov. The idea that a Rebbe gives flow, that's from the times of the Baal Shem Tov. Alf became nevertheless. There was never this message that one of the ways to specifically connect the Rebbe is by saying the Rebbe's Kapitel. To be able to bring down the merit of the Rebbe and Lilkoit, and to the Klita, the absorbing Hagili or the light, Bifnimis in an internal way. Ad Yud Beis Tammuz Tav Shin Tes. It wasn't mentioned that from the Rebbe that one should say the Rebbe's Kapitel until Tav Shin Tes, means from the time of Baal Shem Tov till the last birthday and the last celebration of the liberation of the Friedrich Rebbe in 1949. Reish Leimer, the Rebbe says one could say, Shakadvarnu Mezeh Hoyse, Shakol Chassid Yamshich Loimer Es HaKapitel Shara Rebbe Hamatim Limis B'Shneisov. Maybe the idea is that the Rebbe is teaching us that we should continue saying the Rebbe's Kapitel, which is the custom that we've done since Gimel Tammuz. Yeshem chassidim sheyomer Kapitel shel Rebbe Mizber Ayin. People were saying the Rebbe's Kapitel from 1949, Yud Beis Tammuz, when he turned 69. So it was Kapitel Ayin, which is 70. We always say a Kapitel ahead. Avla Achri Yud Shvat, when the Friedrich Rebbe passed away. They said, Oyru etzlam sveikes imul hamshech hayim lav. They didn't know what to do. Should we continue saying the Rebbe's Kapitel or not? The Rebbe passed away. Ba'ata la'achri Beis Tammuz. Now after Beis Tammuz. Yom Hiladas Shel Rebbe, the Rebbe's birthday. Now comes another question. What do we say? We say 70. We continue saying 70, which is Mizmer Ayin. But now that the Friedrich Rebbe turned another year, we say he turned 70, so we say 71. Meaning to say we're acknowledging that there's a concept of a birthday even after and the afterlife. Is such a thing as growing after you pass away. The Rebbe says, Sheilazu Hiba Rebbe B'Amr B'Yud Gimel Tammuz Achron V'Chayim Chayusei V'Ameden. Therefore, the Rebbe said that for all those who have all these types of questions, the Rebbe was concerned about these questions, and he indicated, Shekol Chassid Tzarach Leimer B'Chol Yom Kapitel Tehillim. You have to say it every day. HaKapitel Shel Rebbe, the Kapitel of the Rebbe. Shaydei Tumshach Chusei Shel Rebbe V'Yiklit HaGilui Mar P'Nimi. So you can bring down the sichos, the merit of the Rebbe, and absorb it. When did the Rebbe say this? The last birthday of his life. It wasn't publicized. And the talk was kind of, only private people had notes of that talk. No one knew that the Frierdiker Rebbe indicated people should be saying, or instructed, actually instructed people to say the Rebbe's kapitel. Now it's been publicized. The Rebbe says, Divrei Kvekdush Marchami Admor Divrei Kvekdush Marchami Admor Shakavona Behem Haisu Lahav Lahairis Benigel Zman Shalachmizah. The Achris Talkus, the Frierdiker Rebbe was helping us how we're going to deal after the time of the passing. She wouldn't say clearly. Why wouldn't he say clearly that maybe I'm going to pass away and you should continue? Because you don't talk like that. Why? Because there's a certain what's called nemanus. We said about Moshe that Moshe was neman. What's neman? Trustworthy. There's a certain concept of trustworthiness with the secrets of God. So Moshe was trustworthy with the secrets of God. Mavor b'sfar. So it's brought down. What does it mean that you're trustworthy? Moshe is trustworthy. What is he going to steal from God? Trustworthy. What is he going to do? He's going to take something from heaven. Shanemonis. What is the trustworthiness? Misbatis expresses itself. Not everything you see do you talk. Moshe saw certain things in heaven. He didn't say them unless he was instructed, unless he understood there's something he has to share. There's a certain emunus, trustworthiness within Rebbeim themselves, within tzaddikim, that they know a lot of things. They don't say it. The Frierdiker Rebbe doesn't say everything clearly, but he hints it. Nit altzvos men zet is memegala. Not everything we see do we reveal. Yeshna Sipur. There's a story. About the Maggid who was rich. Kimiduma, the Rebbe says, it's a famous story. After later, ECC preserves Sifri Chabad, the Rebbe says, although I didn't see the story in Chabad publications, how you do it's known. My father-in-law's instructions. You can go in down when you have a story that the message is good, but you're not 100% certain if it's of its authenticity. If you could learn a lesson from it, you could tell the story. Once one of the students came into the Magnus Rich. The story, as I heard it, was Rebbe Aaron Karoliner, which was one of the elder students of the Maggid Mizrich. He pared mimenu koidim nisiyasi lebeisai. He was going to go back home, so he's going to the Maggid to say shalom. He's going to say goodbye. He's going to say goodbye to his teacher. Maggid am lechavraya. The Maggid said to the Chevra Kadisha, means the students of the Maggid, shiakvu minisiyasi. They shouldn't let him travel. So they tried to prevent him from traveling. It didn't help. He kept on saying, no, why are you leaving that? They told him, the Maggid told him that you shouldn't go. They instructed us to hold you back. Es stammt von der Maggid allein. The Maggid is the one who's instructed us to hold you back. The chassid didn't believe that. Again, this is the Rebbe Aaron of Kaliner. The Rebbe quotes him. The Alter Rebbe quotes him and he puts him into the machzir by Hamelech. He didn't understand. He went to the Maggid before. The Maggid said goodbye to him, and he said goodbye to the Maggid, and everything was. So now, why would the Maggid tell him to stay? Tell them to stay. So what did he do? He couldn't believe it. The Maggid himself said goodbye. He didn't want to go ask the Maggid himself straight up. Did you tell them to prevent me from going? He felt that was disrespectful. Or that's how I understand why he wouldn't want to ask. Maybe there's another reason. So therefore, what he decided to do is so he thought he's going to go back in and say goodbye a second time. The Maggid said goodbye to him. And when he left, the Baron Karoliner told his colleagues off. Like, what did you make me crazy for? He told me the Maggid held me back. I just went in the second time, the Maggid said goodbye. The Maggid said goodbye twice. Meantime, the Maggid again called in the other students and said, don't let him travel. Again, he does not. Third time he went and said goodbye. And again, he said no, and then the Maggid said to hold him back. It's kept on happening over and over and over again. Every time he tried to leave, the Chevra Kadisha would not let him leave. Then he'd go back and the Maggid would say goodbye. The Maggid would say goodbye. Until he stopped listening to them. The Yotza, the Darke, and he went home. But when he came home, he passed away. So the students went to the Magid V'Sholid. They said to him, basically, they understood that the Magid was telling the students not to let him travel, because had he not traveled, he wouldn't pass away. If he'd stayed with the Magid, he would stay alive longer. If he was going home, that's where it was decreed for him to die. Kivan Shiyada, so if the Magid knew that he had to stay, so why wouldn't he just say clearly, stay? That he should have told him, don't travel. But says the answer is, there's a nemonis. There's a trustworthiness. The Magid sees, he knows, he's not allowed to say clearly. So he's trying other ways to stop it, but he can't tell him, I know I see from heaven, you can't travel. That's not how it works with tzaddikim. Not everything is allowed to be revealed. Once they asked, there was a publication from the Frierdiker Rebbe called Rebbe Kedusha, which was put out in the 40s in the United States. So the Rebbe says, once about the publication of Kriya Kedusha, he says, Kosev HaRebbe Inyan Yasidis. The Rebbe would actually write in there futuristic things. Lama Kosev HaRebbe V'lei B'Gadli. So someone asked, why is he hinting it? The person was smart and was able to detect that the Frierdiker Rebbe was saying something. Why couldn't he just say it clearly? And then he stopped saying these things. So he says, the idea is, Ilu hayu ritzayin shel Rebbe lisparsim, mizol im upstempeln. If the Frierdiker Rebbe wanted that he should be stamped, mean be known, betur yudei see this here, oh, he could tell the future. He always says, then that would, then of course he would say the future. So like this, people could say, oh, the Frierdiker Rebbe says the future. That's not the idea of the Rebbe. David Pan, he said many times, again, the years 1940, the Rebbe spoke deep Iskashrus ideas. That's not the definition of a Rebbe. A Rebbe is not about a person that you say, oh, he's so holy. Why? Because he knows the future. That's not a qualification or at all in the criteria of what a Rebbe is. It's not why you come close to the Rebbe, because the Rebbe wants to know something of the future. The point of the Rebbe is that he's the Rebbe. There's not that the Rebbe is, because the Rebbe has this quality and that quality and something else, he knows the future, and therefore I'm going to take him as my Rebbe. You're connected to him because he's your Rebbe. If he has those qualities, like the Rebbe says, if he needs them, he has them. If he doesn't need them, what's the point of them? That's not why you connect them. He's the one who connects you to the Eibishter. He wouldn't just say future, so he should be known as a future teller. There's a concept of nemonis, of trustworthiness. In order to install feelings of repentance and return, he said certain futuristic things to get people in line, but not just to overwhelm people with the idea that he's a Navi. The Rebbe says, in the later years, the Rebbe was revealing many things. The Rebbe said things that no one else said. When the Frierdiker Rebbe spoke on Pesach, 1949, with Tafshin Tes, the Frierdiker Rebbe said, he was going to say something never revealed. He said that by revealing this, it's going to affect me. But there's a purpose for me revealing it, and the effect or the reason is more important than the consequences. The Rebbe says, from this we see when it comes to helping the community, it means he revealed something, even if it would question his trustability. It means he had information that it was revealed to him as a person of nemonis, as a Rebbe who's a person of nemonis. But he figured he has to reveal a little bit because it's very important, not because people should know that he knows things, but that the effect of it is going to be very important. This clearly by the Rebbe, we saw the Rebbe pushed and pushed. Our Rebbe pushed the boundaries like no one ever before that. Here the Rebbe says an interesting finish to this talk. The Kayetz HaAchrein, in the year again 1949, in the summer, tumo. Tumo means a balagan. What? There's a thought that there would be a war. I'm not familiar with the idea, but maybe some sort of war, maybe with Russia, maybe in Asia, some sort of war, obviously in the United States. A lot of people, they were talking about war, 1949, people were scared to do certain business dealings because it could be affected if there was a war. Hichel Yehudi Asher, there was a rich person who wanted to do business, but didn't know what to do. Shehoy Noig Litin Harbe Kesef, the Kupashot Stucky was a big charity, big donor, like, evidently to the Friedrich Rebbe's charities. Livar Chavestai, Tishal Rebbe, you wanted to know what the Rebbe thought about this. If there's going to be a war or not, so should he invest or not? Should he be concerned? Yehudi Zu Hoise Breitkeit. This Yehudi, this Jew, had a broad shoulders. Breitkeit means broadness. He mentioned his Chanukah, Birchei America. He was an American fellow, and Americans have a certain broadness. Nevertheless, with all his broadness, he didn't want to ask the Rebbe directly. So he called our Rebbe, Rebbe Menachem Av, the Rebbe, who was then in charge of the organizations and probably had a relationship with this person. He asked the Rebbe to go into his father, the previous Rebbe, and see what the Friedrich Rebbe thought about the war. If there's going to be a war, he's not going to do the business. Even because the Rebbe says, the Rebbe's telling the story. Because I also wanted to know the Rebbe's opinion if there's going to be a war now. But he's not, he's only a messenger, he's only a tziner, I'm only a pipe. I'm asking on behalf of someone else. Therefore, he felt to ask on his own, he thought that maybe it's inappropriate to ask the Friedrich Rebbe that could be a kapeda of a Rebbe's. But he's not, he's just the messenger. He's part of the organization. He gets a phone call from a donor, he has to ask, he has to do what he's asked. And asked the other Rebbe, so the Rebbe says he went into the Friedrich Rebbe and said, so-and-so telephoned me and asked me to ask if there's going to be a war for business questions. So the Rebbe, it's amazing. Just imagine a scene like this. It says, Rebbe, Heirim es Einov, the Rebbe lifted up his eyes. Imagine the Friedrich Rebbe, everyone knows the Friedrich Rebbe's powerful eyes. And he looked at the Rebbe, Chayach, and he laughed. And he said, the Friedrich Rebbe tells the Rebbe, that he has to tell over to this person, I don't see a war. If Neyam Machadim Hiskli Yehudi Pliny see present later, this Jew who called the Rebbe reminded the Rebbe of that story. In 71, it says that in that time when the Rebbe spoke, and again, so this is a year later, 1950. It's after the previous Rebbe passed away. So it says in footnote 71, when the Rebbe is talking now, again, there's starting to be talk of war. The Rebbe was telling over the story, not to say that he himself was going to say there's not going to be a war, because there was no war. But he's telling over a story of the Friedrich Rebbe. So the people there understood that there's not going to be a war. The Rebbe is trying to hint, again, not to talk direct, that there's not going to be a war. And then the Rebbe wrote about it. It's not like you could just say that maybe the footnote people are misreading the story. So again, the Rebbe wrote a letter to someone who asked him the question. I already said my opinion. Before 2 months, means he said the story. He wrote a letter in Elul, and he's writing about Thomas. In the next few months, there will not be a war. Don't get overwhelmed. Do what you have to do. Don't take the war in consideration. Again, here we see that Friedrich Rebbe tells the Rebbe Friedrich Rebbe of prophecy and Amonis, and here the Rebbe didn't even officially accept the leadership. He's already saying that there's not going to be a war. This is amazing. The Friedrich Rebbe, the Mittler Rebbe, who has a sefer called Shari Oira, who the Mittler Rebbe is known to talk a lot about Mashiach, also about the Imais Mashiach and Chevle Mashiach. Says Achila, the difference between Beze Fanya Geula. In the Varm also we have it. There's two types of ways the redemption could be Be'ita in its proper time, Ba'achishana, or in an earlier time. And he analyzes what's better, to wait out the full time so you could do the full effort, or you should work so hard that you hasten the time, you bring it earlier. The Rebbe says, that's a long time ago. But in our days, in 1950, and surely in 2026, all the deadlines have passed. Therefore, we're holding now, we're holding both its proper time and Nichishana, and surely 86 years later. Let it just happen. Mashiach should come. We should have to wait. We be Hashem's will. That should be a month. of salvation and consolation speedily in our times. Esher Koach, have a wonderful Shabbos.